Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.
Happy holidays, and thank you so much for watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic, and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Today is our monthly series with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. It's called No Justice, No Peace. Now, as you may know, this is an initiative which entails programs, seminars, workshops, and events that will inform and educate the public about the criminal justice system in Richland and Kershaw counties. Now, the office is also featured here on Coping with COVID Monthly to provide updates. This month, Circuit Solicitor April Sampson joins us, and she's got some great things we're going to talk about. April, thank you so much for joining us. Cases and other states, how that may relate to South Carolina, women and male-dominated professions, and how to deal with major health concerns while working. April, again, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to talk to April a little bit more coming up next on Coping with COVID, but first, your COVID community updates. The FDA has approved a COVID booster for 16 through 17-year-olds after 6 months of their final shot. Currently, the Pfizer vaccine is the only option in the United States for those under 18. It's not yet clear if or when teens younger than 16 may need a third Pfizer dose. Health officials in Israel, which already gives boosters to teens, have said the side effects for the third shot are rare. And Bob Dole lay in state at the U.S. Capitol today as the president was among those who paid tribute to the former senator and presidential candidate. He passed away earlier this week. Many have called Dole a giant of our history who served the country and war in politics over 40 years with pragmatism and wit and a sense of common civility and compromise. Bob Dole was 98. An American Spiral Well Pipe Company will invest $40 million to expand operations at their plant in Lower Richland County. Now, the expansion, which is expected to be complete by 2025, will create 100 new jobs. You can visit the company's webpage at american-usa.com/careers for more information. We've got more job information and career information a little bit later on in the show, but want to remind you that SCDHEC has the most up-to-date list of time, states, and location for COVID testing, COVID vaccines, and also flu vaccines in and around South Carolina. Visit scdheck.gov for more information. Now, if you are a veteran, COVID vaccines and testing is being done through the VA. Stop by the VA or call the VA for more information about your COVID vaccine. Kroger pharmacies are among the retailers that are offering the COVID vaccine. Check the screen for details for that. Also, CVS is offering vaccines for children and adults at locations, including those at Target stores. The Brooklyn Baptist Church's vaccine clinic is open 7 days a week. And again, that is also for children and adults. They're under Lexington Medical Center. The library, the one at Sand Hills, is also offering free COVID testing, and they also are distributing self-COVID tests where you can get the test, give yourself a test, and of course, mail it in for your results. Now, also, don't miss your shot. If you're having a challenge getting your vaccine, The Comet bus system is providing free rides to get your vaccine, and you can also get your vaccine at the Comet location on the corner of Sumter and Laurel Streets. If you're having a challenge technology-wise with making your appointment, Get Set Up is helping seniors and others get set up for their COVID vaccine. You can give them a call for more information. Finally, FEMA is continuing to give reimbursements for COVID funeral expenses. If you lost a loved one due to COVID and need some help with funeral expenses, you can contact the FEMA information right there on the screen. Several other financial resources are available, including SC Bar Association and South Carolina Legal Services. They have a toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. Lexington County has a bill assistance program. SC Housing and Dominion Energy also have a rent and utilities program. And also SC Housing has a frontline workers home buying assistance program. Hey, don't forget, today is the final day of No Judge, No Jail. It is the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office warrant resolution event. It's going on from 3 until 7 o'clock tonight at 2 locations: Rehoboth Church out in the Northeast on Hardscrabble, and then also Bible Way Church of Atlas Road. We'll be talking with Solicitor April Sampson a little bit later on in the program, more about that. Finally, there are, as I said, several job fairs and several job opportunities that are available. Path to Redemption is doing an OSHA certification forklifting class. You can see that on the screen. As I said earlier, there is an expansion that is happening with a pipe company. They are going to hire 100 new workers. And again, check the screen for more details about job opportunities that are available. Finally, if you or someone you know is having a challenge coping with COVID, SC Hopes is being distributed by the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. They have a 24-hour-a-day line that you can call if you need some help coping with COVID. I'm Trey Taylor, and you're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. We're streaming live on the Taylor Made Production Facebook page. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow. And not only will you receive a notification as to when to check it out, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. But you can also get all of your COVID-related updates. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Hello to everyone that's joining us on YouTube. Please go over there and hit the subscribe button. Now, we're also streaming live on the Fifth Circuit Solicitors Facebook page. So please don't forget to hit like and share on that page as well. Now, throughout the show, all of the information that you just heard, all of the resources available, testing sites and all of that, financial resources, will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So throughout the show, please post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. It's No Justice, No Peace from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. Solicitor April Sampson joins us for the first time, hopefully not the last time. April, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you.
You're so welcome.
Absolutely. So tell us about the event. It's been going on all week, as I said, at the 2 locations. Have a lot of people been coming out to take advantage of it?
Yes, actually. And a lot of people come, not only just does it result in their bench warrant being lifted and vacated so they can go on with their lives and deal with the charge. We've had a few people whose charges actually got dismissed. We just needed them to show up. So it's not, I want people to understand, nobody's going to jail. No one is getting in any more trouble. It is just to get the case moving forward and disposed of in one way or another.
Yeah, and to help you get back on track. I remember the last one, there were so many people who said they had been virtually living in fear. I talked to one gentleman who said he even did not want to go places with his family for fear that something would happen and jeopardize them. So, I mean, there was so much stress and tension lifted off of people's mind and backs just because they were able to do this. Now, tell me, what types of charges are people being told to come by and resolve?
So basically, it's for anyone who has a bench warrant. It could be for any charge. It could be for drug charges, for theft charges, for assault charges. The charge isn't really what's important. What it means is someone's missed court. That's literally what has happened. They did not come to court for either a hearing or to go in front of the judge to get an attorney. Whatever the reason was, they didn't show up for court.
Right.
And that bench warrant just stops the process until they are arrested. And so all we're wanting them to do is make contact with us so we can get the case going.
Right.
For some people, it means if you come and there's a bench warrant, you show up, we no longer have the evidence for the case, we dismiss it. For others, it's okay, well, maybe now you're going to have to, deal with the case. We'll get you a lawyer and we can proceed in that manner. But as you said, it keeps people from having to be scared all the time. The initiative was really from Solicitor Gipson, who was trying to think of some ways that kept Black and brown people from running from the police.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. And some of the reasons
and because it results oftentimes in fatality.
But exactly. I mean, it won't stop all fatalities clearly, but if you don't run, it makes it a lot easier for people to do their jobs one way or the other. And so his thought was, if we can do things that keep that from happening, then why don't we? And so even before we started with this initiative, when he first got elected, we started looking at bench warrants. We have thousands. They go back to the 80s and 90s.
Oh my gosh.
They never go away. Once you have a bench warrant, it just sits there until you either get picked up on a new charge, you get pulled over for speeding and they run your name, or as you said, a gentleman may go, people were afraid to go vote because they didn't know if that ran your name and popped up that you had this bench warrant. And so they just avoid as much as possible, just worried about getting arrested and going to jail, because what would happen is you would just sit in jail till we could dispose of your case. You can't get out on bond. You can't do anything until the case is disposed of. So you're just going to sit in jail if you just get randomly picked up on a bench warrant. So what we're trying to do is come in, let us get new contact information. Let's start the process over as if this didn't happen, so we can get your case disposed of one way or the other.
Yeah.
And so it can be for any charge, really.
Right. But the main thing is people just need to come by and just see what's going on. And you guys have people there on site that can kind of look through your case, find out what's happening, and then suggest the best route for you.
Correct. And like I said, some people that I do know that this week, there were at least 3 that I'm aware of that their charges got dismissed on the spot.
Wow.
Once they showed up and we were able to look at the case, we saw that there wasn't any evidence left because the drugs were destroyed. So the case was gone. Other times people think they have a bench warrant. They don't. The case was dismissed, but they thought they had a bench warrant. And so now they can at least get that load off their mind that there's no pending charge and there's no bench warrant. I can move on with my life.
Right. I want to be clear, though, for people who may say, well, are you putting dangerous people back out on the street? This isn't for those types of charges, correct?
Well, these people are already on the street. That's the difference. They're not, they're not in jail. Yeah. They are out, and they were always out. These are people who were arrested and out on bond, had made their bond or either had a PR bond and just didn't show up for court. So we're not putting anybody out on the street. They're already out there. We're just trying to make it so their charges get disposed of. Whether, for example, if it's a victim case and the victim wants their restitution, it's been years since that victim has gotten their restitution. If you come in on this bench warrant and maybe all you need to do is pay the restitution, and we vacate the bench warrant. So, there's
then the person will get their restitution.
Correct. So it's a way also for the victim to be made whole, because in these cases that do have victims, the case can't proceed. It's just sitting there. So the person who violated them or who assaulted them or whatever happened has not been held accountable because of the bench warrant. So it's a way to keep the system going, but to try to keep people who are already out on the street from just getting picked up on this bench warrant and then just sitting there waiting to see what would happen with their case.
Right. It's going on today. It's been going on all week. As a matter of fact, this is the final day, the No Judge, No Jail event. This is the third this year of these events. It's going on from 3 until 7 o'clock today in 2 locations, one in the Northeast on Hardscrabble at Rehoboth, and then another at Bible Way Church of Atlas Road. If you know someone, or if you are that someone who has an outstanding bench warrant, or you don't even know, stop by today and find out and get your case resolved, get some answers to your case so that you can have a Merry Christmas. This is a great Christmas present to yourself.
Exactly.
Just the gift of freedom, the gift of knowing, the gift of not having that, over your head going into the new year. So again, it's going on from 3 until 7 o'clock, 3 to 7 or 3 to 9, 3 to 7 o'clock tonight. All right. We're talking to Solicitor April Sampson with the 5th Circuit Solicitor's Office in Richland, Kershaw County. Well, let's talk about a couple of recent cases, April, and get your perspective on the case and also how that case may have played out in South Carolina. The first one, I want to talk about that Ahmad Arbory case, where, of course, it happened in Georgia. The three men shot an unarmed man who had been jogging through the neighborhood because they felt like that he was a threat to their neighborhood. In a nutshell, that's what it was.
Correct. And we've talked about in our office and just in general in Columbia, just talking about had that happened here, how would that play out? And so it would be different. If you watched anything about that case as it was going through, they were charged with several different levels of murder,
right?
Degrees of murder. We don't have that in South Carolina. We have murder. We have murder and we have voluntary manslaughter.
You either kill somebody or you didn't.
Right. We don't do degrees.
That's interesting.
So you either kill someone, basically you have to kill someone unlawfully with with malice is what it's called. Or it's voluntary manslaughter, which would be you are in what's called the heat of passion. The best example is you catch your lover, your husband, your wife in bed with someone and you shoot everybody because you didn't have time to calm down and really think about it. So it's in the heat of passion. And then we have involuntary manslaughter, which is you kill someone by means. So, for example, you do something that shouldn't result in someone being dead, but you did it in a reckless manner and it did. So
like you choke somebody, you didn't mean to kill them, but they ended up dead.
No, that one we'd probably go higher.
Okay.
but it would be, say you punch somebody in the face, but they fall and hit their head on the ground and die. A punch in the face shouldn't kill you.
Right, but the result of it.
And you did it in a reckless manner, not really caring what happened. So those are kind of the three levels we have. So if that case had happened in South Carolina, we would have to show that the two in the vehicle were intending to kill him by their actions.
Right.
When I think about it, the one that I think that would be fine in South Carolina. The one that I wonder about is the defendant who was videotaping.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Because I don't know. In South Carolina, we do have what's called hand of one is the hand of all, meaning if you and I together decide to go rob a convenience store while armed with guns, and then you decide to shoot somebody, even though that wasn't my plan, I could still be charged with murder because I knew it was a consequence of, it could be a consequence of us committing a robbery while armed.
Right.
Well, I'm not sure the guy who's videotaping had any idea that the shooting was going to happen. And we'd have to prove he knew they were armed. Like we'd have to go all the way back to when it started to prove that he knew that everybody was armed when they went to go. Even if you believe what they say, that they were just going to apprehend someone they thought was doing a burglary, we would have to prove that he knew that they were armed while doing that and that killing someone could be the probable consequence of that use of that weapon.
Yeah. And then, but in Georgia, he was charged with a lesser charge, though, right?
But it didn't matter. In Georgia, apparently, it all carries the same penalty. But he did get a lesser than the same degree of murder than the other two. He got a lesser degree of murder. Well, like I said, we only have murder, so we would have to go forward on the premise of they were acting together, but for his actions, the crime wouldn't have happened, and he knew it was a probable consequence of what they were doing. And I'm not sure that would be something we'd be able to do. We also don't have a hate crime. So the race issue would, although it's clearly relevant, it would be called irrelevant in our courts because we don't have a hate crime.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and I know that's a legislative thing, but do you think that is needed as a lawyer, as a solicitor?
I want as many tools in my toolbox as I can. So I'm never going to turn down a law that's based on race. I think it would help because there are times that things happen and it doesn't quite fall into a category like the murder. It doesn't quite fall into that. So if I did have a hate crime statute to go with it to up the ante of what you're charged with, then it might help us settle cases better. But also maybe it just makes people think. I mean, if we can charge you literally for acting upon your prejudices and your racism or whatever you want to call it, then perhaps you won't do it. It came up with Dylan Roof that we don't have a hate crime. That's why the federal government took parts of that case, is because we couldn't prosecute it as a hate crime. They can. The federal government does have a hate crime statute. The state government does not.
So going back to Dylan Roof, because you made a great point. So how were the feds able to be involved, even though it was a South Carolina crime?
So any crime that occurs in South Carolina, if there's it violates a federal law, the federal government can also do it. So it's riding the same train on two different tracks.
Gotcha.
So you can have a murder. We would prosecute it as the state crime because it happened in the state of South Carolina or in the county of Charleston. It would go that way. But the feds can also do it on their track because there's a federal law that you broke. You see it oftentimes, something like that, because of the hate crime component. You'll see it if you rob a bank. A bank is a federal institution, but it's in Richland County. So if someone robs a bank in Richland County, we can prosecute it for the robbery, but so can the federal government. And so you can get two separate convictions. The question then becomes, where do you go to prison? It's a whole different problem.
Yeah, just look, girl, if you're going to prison, does it matter?
I used to do defense work, and according to the defendants I used to represent, you want to go to federal prison if you're going to go.
Is it better?
That's what they tell me. I'm not going to prison.
I know that's right, girl. I don't know because I ain't been to prison. Feds are a state prison. I get you.
I have had to visit them as an attorney, but I have never had to stay. So, I've been told the federal prison system is better. They have better programs. Maybe it's they have a different type of offender. I don't know. I compare it to when Martha Stewart went. I was like, that didn't really look like too bad.
Oh, no, it didn't look like no kind of prison to me, girl. No kind of prison. It looked like a country club. But she was probably at a different kind of federal prison, too.
Well, and also for her, that was probably terrible. I mean,
it was prison for her. You're right. I guess it's relative.
Correct. Like, she couldn't do what she wanted to do. So that was prison to her. And I'm like,
she was there knitting. I thought she was there knitting
right.
Apes and stuff.
She looked fine to me, it didn't look like the prison I was used to visiting, but it was prison. So, but I've been told federal prison's a little bit better than a state facility, but I'm not going to prison to find out.
Right. Solicitor April Sampson joins us. She is an attorney with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Kershaw and Richland County. You're watching No Justice, No Peace from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. And we're talking about some cases that have happened in some other states and how it would apply to South Carolina. Now, what about the Kyle Wittenberg case, April, when, this young man got a gun, cross county lines to, he said, protect folks and ended up, shooting up folks, killing folks?
Well, that one I think was hard mainly because of maybe the self-defense statutes in that state are a little bit different than say we would have. So it's a lot more on the prosecution to disprove self-defense. In South Carolina, we only have to disprove one part of self-defense. So we would have to show he either brought about the difficulty that he was in, which I would say he brought a gun to the middle, an assault rifle to the middle of a public place. You causing problems. I don't know that we would have had the same result in South Carolina because our self-defense statute is different. So I would hope that we would have had a different outcome. The one that to me is a little strange is the new one with the kid shooting in the high school.
Yes.
And charging the parents. I've had a lot of friends asking me about that, which makes me think, what are your kids doing a little bit? I don't know that we'd be able to do that in South Carolina. I don't know that it would work. For the charges that we wouldn't have there might be some things. We have what's called contributing to the delinquency of a minor, if you provide marijuana to your 17-year-old, or we've had some where mothers have driven their kids to go have a fight with some other girls.
Right.
They contributed knowing they were going to go have a fight. I don't know, because yes, they bought him a gun, but that's not necessarily illegal. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess, April, I'm going to tell you, because I read a little bit about the case. Two things I'll say. One, I read that the school alerted the parents that your child has a gun at school. He's saying some things, and they kind of brushed it off.
And my understanding is they told him that he was looking for bullets, but not that he had the gun at school.
Okay.
And so the parents came. My understanding is they came to the school that day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the school's like, he's asking about bullets and drawing these things about needing help. We need you to take him with you and go get him some help. And the parents said, no, we'll talk to him after school.
Right.
So, and then he goes literally that same day and shoots up the school. So,
and to me, I mean, I don't know, girl, what parent to me would keep your child in school under those circumstances? So,
I mean, I've had to go. I have 2 children. Well, I call them children. One's 22, one's 17. So I'm not really sure they're children.
Well, they're your children.
They're my children, right? And I've had to go to the school, and every time I've had to go for something, they go home with me. Like if they had a problem at school, whether it was physically ill, one of my child had some issues, and so we've had to go to the school, and they're like, well, she had a rough day. I took her with me. Like there was no going back to class. It wasn't even anything this big. So that's a parenting decision, I guess. Yeah. But the question is it criminal? Yeah. And I'm not sure it would be here. I'm just not sure it might be contributing for buying him the gun. But I don't know that it would be what it's being there, and that they're charged with involuntary manslaughter. I don't know that we'd get it to that.
And I guess my thing is, and look, girl, I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. I don't even know half the stuff y'all know. I'm just thinking, all of the things together, your child has a gun. He's here at school. He is, saying threatening things. He's asking for bullets. To me, that adds up to, you're right, a parenting decision. But to me, it is criminal if you have now the decision you made, which was not a wise decision, which to me wasn't a responsible decision, now results in a crime. And then,
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree that I don't have any problems with them being charged. I was like, yes, finally. I was totally behind that. But it made me think, would you be able to do that if it happened here?
Here in South Carolina.
Because we don't have the law to do it. And that's we don't have it.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. The fact that they fled. I thought that was kind of icing on top of the cake kind of thing as to why then, okay, y'all got to go to jail because this is just ridiculous. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. I was like, yes. I mean, I have absolutely, giving all the totality of the circumstances. Yes. Had it just been they bought him a gun, people buy kids guns all the time, especially in South Carolina. We're a hunting state. They're hunting. So that by itself, maybe not such a big deal, but the text messages with his mom about, well, you shouldn't have gotten caught and all of that.
Exactly. Right. That was the other thing. I was like, who says that to their child?
Right. And then with all that in mind, the school then tells you, here's what he's doing at school, drawing pictures with bullets and blood and, asking for ammunition. At that point, I do think you've crossed the line from a bad parenting idea to what could be criminal. But I can't think of a crime that we have that would match it. So if it happened here, I don't know. Other than that contributing charge, and even that, I don't know if it would stick.
Yeah, that's so interesting, April, that you say in South Carolina that might be it. Because as you know, in the last 2 weeks, we've had several instances here in Richland County where kids have been found with guns and other weapons. I mean, it's just like in the last 2 weeks, it's like boom, 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 boom.
And threatening each other, but not really having a weapon, like threatening to blow up the school. We've had a lot of that lately.
Yes.
And I don't know if we've had more or if it's just being in the media more, because we do have it. I think a lot of times the public doesn't know about it because they're juveniles. Right. So unless it happens at school, they may get charged. Yeah, nobody knows. But because a lot of these have happened during the school hours and schools had to be shut down or, parents had to be alerted. I think that having the new alert systems is why we're hearing more about these, because it's been going on. It's just like we have these every time something happens, you get a text message or you get something from the school and then the media gets it. And so everybody knows about it. Whereas in the past, it would just have been within the school or within the community or, it wasn't necessarily out in the public. So I agree. We're hearing about more. And then we've had some more where they've had weapons on schools, but I'm telling you, there have been weapons on school on multiple occasions that we just didn't hear about. We also have SR, special resource officers at schools who take care of that a lot in South Carolina. So
we're talking to Attorney April Sampson with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Richland and Kershaw County. You're watching No Justice, No Peace. I'm Trey Taylor. You're watching Coping with COVID. Hey, please post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. And don't forget, today, going on from 3 until 7 o'clock, is the No Justice, No Peace warrant resolution event going on in 2 locations at Rehoboth Church on Hardscrabble and also at Bible Way Church of Atlas Road from 3 until 7 today. You can stop by and get your warrant worked out. If you have a bench warrant, go by there. If you don't know, go by there. If you have a question, go by there and get your case resolved so that you can have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Give that to yourself. We're going to come right back with more with Attorney Sampson. We're going to talk about this was not a Richland County case, but we are going to talk a little bit about former Richland County Recreation Director James Brown. You may have heard that he was acquitted or cleared of all the charges, sexual misconduct, which had led him to lose his job several years ago. Plus, we're going to talk about workplace law. Have you, as a woman, had some issues with your workplace, or have you had some issues because of your health, even with COVID, going back to work? Well, April is going to rejoin us coming up next, and we're going to talk about all that and more on Coping with COVID. I'm Trey Taylor. We'll be right back.
Happy holidays. I'm Fifth Circuit Solicitor Byron Gipson, and I'm inviting you to get back on track at the No Judge, No Jail bench warrant resolution event, December 6th through 9th from 3 to 7 p.m. If you have a nonviolent felony bench warrant and you missed a court date, I can help you get back on track if you attend this event. We'll schedule a new court date for you, and you can do that without the fear of being arrested or even going to jail. We'll have lawyers from the Richland County Public Defender's Office there to assist you by advising you and assisting you to schedule that new court date. Last time we helped nearly 100 people, but this time I'd like to help you as well. It's the No Judge, No Jail bench warrant resolution event, December 6th through 9th from 3 to 7 p.m. at 2 locations. Bible Way Church on Atlas Road at the A.C. Jackson Wellness Center and at Rehoboth Baptist Church at 4646 Hardscrabble Road in Northeast Columbia. We can only help you if you come see us. So I look forward to seeing you. And again, happy holidays from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office.
Let Palmetto Painting Services take the worry out of your next home painting project. We can paint anything. Our business is about interior painting and exterior painting. We offer services for residential and commercial properties. Restore the life to your home with a fresh coat of paint from Palmetto Painting Services. References are available upon request. Give us a call at 803-546-4570 today.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean, and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
It's always going to be there, and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives. But when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cockrum. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. Brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
You're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's No Justice, No Peace from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. Attorney Byron Gipson and his office are featured every Thursday, every month on a Thursday, first Thursday here on Coping with COVID to bring you updates and information. We're streaming live actually on the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Facebook page. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow. We are also streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please go over there, hit like, share, and follow. And not only you can receive notifications as to when to watch Coping with COVID, which is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but also you can get all of your COVID-related updates. Also want to shout out the folks on YouTube that are watching. Please go over there also and hit the subscribe button. Now, throughout the show, you will see streaming at the bottom of this, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, all types of information, resources that are available in our community and beyond for COVID testings, COVID financial assistance, job opportunities, and so much more. So please continue to post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. Today on No Justice, No Peace, attorney April Sampson joins us with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. We've been having a great conversation. She's been sharing with us her take and really how some recent cases would have played out or not played out in South Carolina. And I wanted to talk about a case that actually just happened. It didn't just happen, but it was just resolved here in Richland County. It was the case of the former Richland County Recreation Director, James Brown. I think it was several years ago. I don't remember. I think 4 or 5 years ago, he was charged with sexual misconduct, utilizing his office in an inappropriate manner for sexual favors, and he was fired. And just this week, just yesterday, those charges were dropped. Can you tell us a little bit about that, April? And then, like I said, I know it wasn't tried in your court, but I do want to ask in general, what if anybody else was in this position, if you find yourself in this position where you were accused of something, you lost your job, your livelihood, your reputation, and then the case is dropped, what recourse, if any, do you have?
So as you said, his case was prosecuted by the Attorney General's office. So the Attorney General's office would normally handle cases that have to do with someone, a local elected official or anything like that, when they've done a misuse of their office. We would not do that. The Attorney General's office often does cases that cross county lines or have to do with Medicaid, things that have to come through the state or local government. So we wouldn't prosecute that. It was in Richland County, just the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office didn't prosecute.
Right.
But for anyone who is charged with the crime and that leads to their arrest or leads to them losing their job, and then the charges are dismissed or if it goes to trial and they get found not guilty, that doesn't mean that the offense didn't happen. It doesn't mean that there wasn't a reason to arrest them. So oftentimes there's not a whole lot of recourse in terms of there's not going to be any new charges. It doesn't mean we're going to go out and say, well, you lied, and so he was found not guilty. We're going to go charge the person who made these allegations.
Right.
Now, possibly someone in that position, whether it be Mr. Brown or if, like you said, in general, when you lose your job based on pending charges, you can try to get your job back once those charges are gone. Sometimes if it was, if you can prove that they knew the charges were not good or that there was something wrong with them, maybe there's a civil lawsuit, a civil component, but there wouldn't really be any criminal charges that come from it unless we could show that the witnesses purposely lied. Because just because if you go to trial and are found not guilty or the office looks at a case and decides to dismiss the charges, it doesn't mean that what the other people said didn't happen. It just means for whatever reason, we can't go forward or the jury found you not guilty. Doesn't equate to not being to innocence necessarily either. So
That's interesting. Innocence and not guilty are two different.
They're two different things. A jury can find you not guilty because we as the state could not prove an element. It doesn't mean you didn't do everything else. It may mean we can't prove one piece. So like we were talking about Arbory earlier, maybe we can't show intent to kill. You killed the person, definitely did it. We just can't show that's what your intent was. So the jury finds you not guilty. That doesn't mean you're innocent.
Right.
It just means that you're not going to go to prison for whatever you did. You're not going to be convicted. So the decision of the office to not prosecute a case may be that a witness is no longer available. It can be that maybe it was on video and now the video is damaged. We have, for example, DUIs. You have to arrest people a certain way when they get a DUI. And if that's not done correctly, the case has to be dismissed. It doesn't mean the person wasn't driving while intoxicated. It just means we can't prosecute it. So it would depend on the circumstances as to why the charges are no longer going forward, as to whether you could get your job back or whether there'd be a civil component to that.
Yeah. Do you know anything about, and I was just wondering because one case was dropped, and so then after that, they dropped all of the cases. Is that a normal thing?
So I believe, and again, it wasn't in my office, but there was a trial on one of the charges.
Okay.
And I believe that was in November, and he was found not guilty. And so they then had the choice to continue to go forward on the other charges or to dismiss those charges. And it's my understanding they chose to dismiss the charges and I have no idea why.
Right.
I don't know anything about the case other than because it was actually in the courthouse where I work. I saw that they were having a trial.
Right.
But other than that, I don't know anything about it.
We're talking to attorney April Sampson with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. I'm Trey Taylor. You're watching No Justice, No Peace. Listen, April, COVID has seen lots of people at odds with their jobs, between not feeling safe to go back to work amidst a pandemic and or having health concerns. What do people need to be aware of, and what can they do when they are having a workplace health kind of issue?
So it would depend on what kind of issue they're having. For example, if it's just you don't feel safe in going to work because your job does not have COVID protocols, or you're at a place that's not following COVID protocols, if there are COVID protocols required for your city or your county, then that's something you can actually go forward on to your administration. If it's a county building, they've got to follow the protocols that are by that county. If it's that you are sick and therefore you can't go to work, then that's a totally different thing.
Right.
There's, FMLA is a federal mandate that means if you are under FMLA protection, your job can't fire you simply because you can't come to work. Now, you can't be on FMLA forever. There are limits to even that, but that's one way, if you are ill, that you can, keep from losing your job simply because you can't come to work. I think they're trying to figure out some of those things. For example, if you're working and now your job is mandating vaccinations, but you can't get a vaccination due to your health status. So, I think the law and companies are navigating that road as we go forward, because this never existed before, really. Mm-hmm. So the biggest thing is, if you're ill, there are more things you can do than if it's just, I'm afraid I might get something if I go to work. Right. Because unfortunately, I don't think the law has quite caught up to the situation that we're in terms of how do you protect yourself and still go to work if your company is not requiring those things.
Right. What about some other workplace issues? Let's talk about one. What women face. I mean, you're a high-powered woman in a male-dominated profession and probably office, and a lot of women are. What can women do if they are having some issues? And I'm sure there could be a myriad of issues. Not getting paid what they feel like they should be getting paid, looking down at, being asked to get coffee and you've got a master's degree, or sexual advances.
I get it. We joke, but it happens a lot. Not as much now because of COVID, but when our courtrooms are open normally. And so when we would do trials or do pleas, it never failed. At least once or twice, I would get asked, so are you the paralegal, or are you the court reporter? Did you bring your stuff? And I was like, I'm the lawyer. What are you talking about?
I am the lawyer in this case.
Right. I went to law school. So it happens. And so I think you got to get, first, you have to get a tough skin. You can't, not everything is a slight. Some things people just don't know. It's not their experience. It's not what they've ever seen. I try to take into account their age sometimes. I was actually talking to Solicitor Gipson about that. I have a friend whose grandmother, when we were kids, was like 90 years old, and she would always call me the little colored girl. And she would always get so embarrassed. And I'd be like, Donna, your grandmother's 90 years old. I'm not going to be mad at your 90-year-old grandmother.
Right.
So, I have a thicker skin than most probably. But I think the first thing you do is you find a group of people like you. So I have a group of female friends, and we talk about these things. And it just, for me, it helps me feel better. Even if it doesn't necessarily change the environment, it helps me navigate that environment, knowing that I'm not the only one who that judge is looking at my in the face.
Oh, girl. Yeah.
So that's my first suggestion, is get you a core group of people who you can talk to about it.
Good.
And if it is something that is damaging your ability to work, like you said, whether it's you're getting paid a significant amount less or you're not getting promoted, make note of that.
Right.
Document it. It's not enough to just think that that's what's going on. You got to have documentation, whether it's you keep a daily log, whether you keep all the emails, whether every time that boss comes in and looks at you and talks about how cute you look in your suit, you write that down, or you make sure another coworker sees it too, and you keep a record. That's the best thing, because it's always just going to be your word against whatever they're going to say. So having documentation and proof is what you need to go forward with that. I mean, I'm in a pretty male-dominated field in terms of being a lawyer, but where I work is actually, there's more females than males. So, which is an interesting dynamic, because you don't normally have that. When I go to other circuits, they're like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, I got to find a guy if I want to sit somebody in the counsel. Most of the people in my office are female. Yeah. But that's the oddity. If I go other places, it's mostly the other way around. But first you get a thick skin, know that it's going to happen. I think also being a Black woman, I'm used to both.
Right.
So sometimes
you get a double whammy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my husband makes fun of me because I'll be like, it might not be because I'm Black. It might be because I'm a woman. It's not my first go-to why somebody treats me a specific way. It must be that. It could be 100 things in my head. And so it's not my go-to. And so I always try to say, okay, well, what else can I see to show me that it is that, and not, you just don't like me. Some people get intimidated by, women have to, and it sucks. You have to be careful to not be too aggressive, because then you're the B word.
Right.
But if you're not aggressive enough, then you get ran over. So I have a hard time with that. I'm probably very aggressive. And so I'm just like, you're just going to call me names then. I don't really care. And I think that's how you have to take it, is you got to know where you are and what you're good at and how to showcase what you're good at, and just know that you're good at that, no matter what somebody may say about you or to you. And if you're doing what you're supposed to and doing it well, then you can navigate, whether it's because they're doing something because you're a woman or because you're your race or whatever, and document it. And then you will have support for whatever you say.
Yeah, I love that you say first, get your group of friends, work it out some kind of way, whatever it is, you've got to find support outside of the situation. That's the first thing. I love that you say that, because I think sometimes we feel like we are alone in a situation and we feel very alienated. So we tend to not reach out and ask people for help. So that's the first thing. And then you say document it, so that if you do have to take it to court or take it to the supervisor or take it to the whatever, then you've got some documentation.
Exactly. Because, it's one thing to say, well, he's only hired, males for that position, but you need to be able to prove it. Can you show that everybody in that position is male? Or I was fired because I'm a woman. Well, did they fire any other women that year?
Right.
So you're going to have documentation, because South Carolina is a right to hire, right to fire state. So your employer does not have to give you a reason why you were fired.
Wow.
If they don't want to.
Right.
And so if you're going to go forward with a race or sex discrimination case, you got to have something to back you up.
Right.
Or if you want to go to your supervisor and say, you're paying this man who is the same as me or has less experience than me, $10,000 more than me. I want to know why. Well, you better be able to back that up. Is he doing more work than you? Is he working nights and weekends?
Right.
And I think I think Corona has helped with this, but we need to do better figuring out how to navigate, and I shouldn't say do better, but how to navigate being a mother and a wife and working and not feeling guilty about that and doing it. You know, I missed a PTA meeting. My kid does not remember that. PTA meetings. But and there's
I went through that yesterday, girl. I forgot all about the SIC meeting, and I was going to pick up Julius from guitar, and there was a lady saying, "Oh, I'm going to the SIC." I said, "Is that today?" I was like, "Oh," and then I thought, "Listen, I just didn't have time. My phone's not working. I got to get my phone fixed." I picked him up on time.
You got him. He's not dead. In my house, it's the whole thing. You're not dead, are you? Because that you can't keep all the balls in the air. But I think men don't feel guilty about it.
Right?
They don't. If they're not home for whatever, they don't feel guilty. But we do. Why? Was somebody home? Okay, great. So I think we just need to feel better in accepting that it's okay.
Yeah, it's
okay to miss. My kids play sports. It's okay if I miss one game. I can't miss all of them.
Right.
But if I missed one, they're not going to die. They're going to remember the other 12 that you did, or whatever. So I've had to get past that hurdle of don't feel guilty for wanting to be good at what you do.
Yeah. Before we get off this topic, April, and wrap up the conversation, one more thing I want to ask you about this women in the workplace issue. How do you feel about showing our emotions at the job and how we say what we say? I know this was a hurdle for me being in broadcasting, again, another male dominated profession. And I had to learn not to break down and cry or, act like it was every 28 days and my emotions were all over the place. You know what I mean? And not that I had to stop being a woman, but I had to learn how to control my emotions at the job, because it's a job.
Mm-hmm. It's hard. I mean, I have had moments. Luckily, I have an office and I have a door I can shut.
Right.
And if I need to go cry, then I go cry, and then I go back outside. But I mean, I think for me, that's what it's okay. I just need to get to a closed door. If it's that bad, let me find a closed door. Sometimes I just acknowledge it. I'm an in-your-face kind of person. So I may say, this isn't because I'm female. I'm not having a monthly. That's not what this is. This is I'm angry because of this, or you've upset me. And so I just come at it so that they can't in the back of their minds be saying that.
Yeah.
I'm going to address it with you. So I'm more of, let's confront it. Let's not pretend it's not there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. If you think this is an emotional response from me, let me explain to you why it is not. It is backed up with whatever I have that got me to this place. Now, I'm also get mad quickly and will show that. And so I have to temper that. I have to watch that myself. And it's taking deep breaths. I've tried to become a better listener. So sometimes it's okay, let me see if I can figure out why you really said that and not that I really think you just were trying to cut me. Let me see if I can figure out another reason why you might have said that so I can get out of this room before I yell at you. So I've had to try to take steps back. Just because I am the type that I get ramped up. And so I just have to work on it. I'm a work in progress girl. And so that's all I can say.
And here's the thing, I think we all are. And I think that's where giving yourself some grace comes in. You can be 50 or 60 and still be a work in progress. The thing is, you're still living. So if you're still living, you can still learn,
I totally agree. I mean, it's hard. And having kids makes you change. Once they leave my house, it's going to make me change. We're already talking about what are we going to do? I don't know. I think I'm getting at the age where you do kind of start to work more on yourself because the kids are sort of out. So I think just knowing that every day is not the same. Meaning today's bad. but tomorrow will be better, or tomorrow might be bad too.
Right.
But, you know, there's a next day, you know, you're going to
day.
eventually be better. So let me just how can I get through whatever I'm going through? And it's taken years for me to get to this. Now, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah. It's the evolution, girl. It's a total, you know, you mature every day is like I said, it's an opportunity to learn and grow, but you've got to take that opportunity to do just that. April Sampson with the 5th Circuit Solicitor's Office. She has joined us today. We've had a great conversation. You got to come more often. Byron doesn't have to. I tell him all. Byron doesn't have to come every month.
You came out. I'm here for you.
Hey, don't forget about the event today from 3 until 7. It's the No Judge, No Jail warrant resolution event at Rehoboth on Hardscrabble and Bible Way Church of Atlas Road. If you or someone you know has an outstanding warrant, or think you do, or need some resolution, or need some questions answered, please stop by one of those 2 locations today from 3 until 7 o'clock tonight. Several people have been helped already this week, and this could be your opportunity. 3 to 7 today at Rehoboth on Hardscrabble Road and Bible Way Church of Atlas Road. Thank you, April, so much for joining us today on
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so listen. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwithtreytaylor@gmail.com. If you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please email booking@copingwithtreytaylor.com. All of that information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like all of our sponsors. SCDHEC, In It Together SC, and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina. They sponsor Wellness Wednesday. Also, Javis Tax Services, Palmetto Painting, the 5th Circuit Solicitor's Office, also Palmetto Media Connections, Black Expo, Black Pages, the Comet Bus System, and Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall, and also Agape Counseling and Training Services. Now, tomorrow, what's new in 2022? Our new feature will feature Mayor-elect Daniel Rickerman. He is the new mayor of Columbia, South Carolina, and we're going to talk to him about what his plans are for the upcoming term. Also, how to keep your energy bill low and avoid scams. The folks from Dominion Energy will join us. Both of those are tomorrow on Coping with COVID. As usual, I leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling. Today is December 9th, and Jesus says, "Be willing to go out on a limb with me, if that is where I am leading you. It's the safest place to be with me. Your desire to live a risk-free life is a form of unbelief. Your longing to live close to me is at odds with your attempts to minimize risk. You are approaching a crossroad in your journey. In order to follow me wholeheartedly, you must relinquish your tendency to play it safe. Let me lead you step by step through this day. If your primary focus is on me, you can walk through perilous paths without being afraid. Eventually, you'll learn to relax and enjoy the adventure of our journey together. As long as you stay close to me," Jesus says, "my sovereign presence protects you wherever you go." That's your Jesus Calling for today, Thursday, December 9th. I'm Trey Taylor. Thank you again so much for joining us. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Stay safe, be well, get your COVID vaccine or your booster, and don't forget to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. I'll see you tomorrow.
Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. Presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.